Hey everyone, welcome back. I've been sitting at my desk looking at these two phones for the past week and it hit me, it's been almost 5 years since the iPhone 13 Pro changed the game. I still have mine here in Graphite and yeah, it's been such a tank. But then I have the new iPhone 17 in this lavender finish and it's making me question everything I thought I knew about base model iPhones. If you're still rocking a 13 Pro, or maybe you're on an even older 11 or 12 and you're finally ready to pull the trigger, this video is for you. We're gonna talk about whether the 17 is actually a Pro upgrade in disguise, or if you should just save your money and swap a battery. You know, looking back to late 2021, the 13 Pro was special. It was the nice Apple, the one where they finally gave us ProMotion and that massive battery leap that made us stop carrying power banks everywhere. For a long time, it was the gold standard. But it's 2026 now. My 13 Pro has definitely seen better days and the tech world has moved on to things like liquid glass and square sensor cameras. So let's see if the 17 can actually fill those big shoes. First, let's talk about the physical feel, because this is the first thing you notice when you pick them up side by side. My 13 Pro is built like a tank with that surgical grade stainless steel. It's heavy, coming in at 204 grams. Those flat edges are iconic, don't get me wrong. But after 5 years, well, they're sharp. If you're using it without a case, it really digs into your palm after a while. The iPhone 17 though feels like it went on a serious diet. It's aluminum, so it's significantly lighter at just 177 grams. But the real win isn't just the weight, it's the ergonomics. Apple moved toward these much softer, more rounded edges since the iPhone 15, and on the 17 it fits. It feels a lot more intentional for one-handed use. For those of us with smaller hands or who are just tired of the Pro bulk, this is a huge relief. But the screen, man, this is where the 17 finally catches up and in some ways leaves the 13 Pro for years. Let's be real, Apple totally gatekept the good screens for the Pros. If you wanted that smooth scrolling, you had to pay the Pro tax. And yeah, not anymore. The 17 has this beautiful 6.3-inch Super Retina XDR display, up from the 6.1-inch we've seen for years. The crazy part is that they did this by shrinking the bezel so much that the screen feels massive, even though the phone footprint isn't actually that much bigger than the 13 Pro. And yes, the base model finally has that buttery 120Hz ProMotion refresh rate we've loved on the Pros. It even uses LTPO tech so it can scale down to 1 Hz, which finally gives the base model a proper always-on display. And brightness, I mean, it's not even a fair fight. My 13 Pro was impressive back in the day, but it maxes out at 1200 nits in HDR. The iPhone 17 hits 3000 nits of peak outdoor brightness. In direct sunlight, the 17 is a literal mirror breaker. It's so clear. I was out in the sun testing this, and unlike the 13 Pro, which starts dimming to protect itself from heat, the 17 just cuts through the glare like it's nothing. Plus, we have to mention the new Ceramic Shield 2. Apple says it's 3 times more scratch resistant than before. My 13 Pro is covered in those tiny micro scratches. It really feels like Apple finally realized people wanted a premium display experience without the Pro markup. Performance-wise, we're looking at a generational gap. The A15 Bionic in the 13 Pro is still a beast for daily tasks, but the A19 in the 17 is built on that new 3nm tech. I ran Geekbench 6 and the numbers are kind of wild. My 13 Pro got around 2426 single core, but the 17 is pushing 3573. In multi-core, the 17 hits over 9000, which is actually faster than some of last year's Pro Max models. The 17 also has 8GB of RAM, while the 13 Pro has 6GB. In 2026, with these heavy iOS 26 animations, that extra 2GB matters. I've noticed my 13 Pro occasionally reloads apps like Safari or Instagram if I have a game running in the background, whereas the 17 just keeps everything suspended perfectly. Talking of gaming, I just ran GPU Geekbench, and the Metascore results is on the 13 Pro, it's 21,514, which isn't bad for a 5-year-old phone, but the iPhone 17 hits 37,286. That's a massive jump in raw graphics power. I mean, the A19 chip is actually faster and scores higher than last year's iPhone 16 Pro Max in some tests. For most high-demanding games today, the 13 Pro is still really playable on high settings, but it definitely gets warm during those long sessions. The 17 stays much cooler and sustains that performance way longer thanks to the efficiency of the 3nm A19 chip. Let's get personal for a second. Battery life. My 13 Pro's battery health was at 70%. It was awful. I was charging it 2 or 3 times a day, and if I went out for dinner, I was checking my percentage every 10 minutes. So I actually did a DIY battery replacement. I bought an aftermarket one, and as you can see, I now get that unknown part message in the settings. It's annoying, of course, but the performance is back. But compare that to the iPhone 17. It has a 3692 milliampere hours battery, and the A19 is so efficient it's rated for 30 hours of video playback. That's an 8-hour jump from what the 13 Pro offered when it was new. If you're tired of living on a charger, the 17 is a massive relief. Now, the cameras. The 13 Pro has that triple 12 megapixel setup. I still love that 3x telephoto for portraits. The 17 has a dual 48 megapixel system, main and ultra wide. You lose the dedicated telephoto lens, but the 48 megapixel main sensor is so large that the 2x fusion crop is basically optical quality. The real star is the selfie camera. It's an 18 megapixel center stage camera with a square sensor. This is actually genius. Because the sensor is a 1x1 square, you can take a landscape selfie while holding the phone vertically. The phone just crops the square into a horizontal frame. It also has center stage, so if you're vlogging and you move around, the camera digitally follows you to keep you centered. It's easily the coolest camera feature Apple has released in years. Software-wise, we're running iOS 26 here, and Apple's new liquid glass UI it's something else. It mimics real glass with refraction and lensing effects. On the 13 Pro, it looks okay, but you can feel it straining the hardware sometimes. The animations can feel a little chopped or laggy. On the 17, it's like butter. As for Apple Intelligence, it's great for summarizing emails and keeping notifications quiet. But for me, it still feels a bit behind. I usually end up using Gemini or ChatGPT as an alternative because they're more powerful for multi-step tasks. The 17 handles all the on-device AI perfectly, while the 13 Pro has to punt a lot of that to the cloud. But it's not all perfect. If you're moving to the 17, there are a few things you need to know. First, the port. It's USB-C now, which is great for the one cable lifestyle, but it's still limited to USB 2.0 speeds, 480 megabits per second, which is the exact same speed as the old Lightning port. If you transfer a lot of 4K video to your computer, it's gonna be just as slow as your 13 Pro. Also, if you're coming from a base iPhone 13 or 14, 60 Hz is basically old tech now. By 2026 standards, if a phone doesn't have 120 Hz, it feels broken. The 17 fixes this, but I think Apple kept us waiting way too long for this. So what's the verdict? If you have an iPhone 13 Pro and the battery is the only thing driving you crazy, just replace the battery. It's still an incredible phone and it will get updates for at least another 2 years. But if you want that lighter feel, the insane 3000 nit screen, the convenience of USB-C, and that viral square sensor selfie camera, the iPhone 17 is a huge leap. Plus, they doubled the base storage to 256 gigabytes this year for the same $799 price. It's the best value a base model iPhone has had in a long time. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Are you sticking with your 13 Pro or are you gonna upgrade? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.